Okay, the next item, which is probably of the goals I'm most excited about, is development of a public relations communications plan and strategy. Council has been having numerous conversations internally at work sessions and at the goal session that this was a high priority for council to do a better job communicating with the public, do a better job responding to the public as it relates specifically to our messaging and our vision and accomplishments, etc. Been kind of struggling with exactly how to frame that up and how to move forward on it. At a staff meeting with former town manager Joe Waltz and Bill Seelock and I, Bill had a really good idea of reaching out to Todd Jones, who, as we all know, is our director of IT, thinking that, you know, it might involve some technology and it might involve social media, and therefore Todd might be a good person to at least get some ideas and guidance from. Interestingly, when I had my meeting with Todd, I was unaware of Todd's background. I just knew Todd as an IT Todd, but he's a lot more than that. And if you guys would indulge us maybe 5 minutes, I'd like Todd to do a brief discussion or have a discussion about his background, and then maybe frame up what we're looking for in this type of role and see what direction council wants to give staff. Todd?
Yeah, so I've worked in television broadcasting for about 15 years. Worked for 2 different television stations, one in Virginia and one in Florida. I've worked for a bunch of different cable companies, including Discovery Channel, History Channel, that type of thing on a freelance basis. I've made thousands and thousands and thousands of television commercials. I was a promotions director for the TV station I worked for here in Virginia. And we spent a great deal of time figuring out how to do that type of promotion stuff. I have extensive experience in broadcasting and promotions and that type of thing. So we've lived in Front Royal. I've lived in Front Royal since 1985. My wife was born at War Memorial Hospital and has had celebrated her 40th anniversary there. We have deep roots in Front Royal, and it's our community. We really care about this place. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to just kind of bridge the gap and help the community heal a little bit and help the town better communicate with its citizens, and really let the citizens have a better communication level with town council and with town staff and that type of thing as well. So I do have some ideas on that. If you want me to share those now, I can, or I can take ideas from you all, whatever you prefer.
Why don't you maybe hit on a few of the ideas?
Okay.
That'd be great.
So I kind of took this from a 4-pronged approach. The first is to find and promote a clear message. So I meet with town council and individually and just have a dialogue about what you guys think is the most important part of the message that we need to give out to the community. What is the important thing that you guys want to say? Where are we lacking? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And just hear from each of you what you hear from the community as you're out and about doing those things. We'll get a hold of proper social media accounts. We'll assign social media authors that are directed out of my office. So as social media comes into us, as we respond to it, it's all kind of a coordinated effort through the PIO office. And then we'll capture all town communications from press releases to public notices and that type of thing. Make sure that they're very clear. Make sure that they have a consistent message that aligns with our discussions with each of you, and just go from there. So that's the first step, is just finding and promoting a clear message.
Does that include and posting them in social media mainstreams?
Yeah.
Not just on our webpage or tweeting out or a Facebook post?
So what are you speaking of?
Groups, posting it in groups and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll find those groups as they come. It's hard to keep up sometimes with all those groups, but we expect to be able to do that and respond in those groups accordingly. I don't want to get into a war on that. But, yeah. Sometimes social media is a double-edged sword. But the second prong of this whole thing is proper communication with the press. So all requests from the press to speak with town council or with town officials will go to the PIO office. I'll coordinate that with Jennifer, and then we will ask the press specifically for what questions they're going to ask when they're discussing things with you, so that you have a heads up as to what you're getting into. We really probably, I don't expect us to allow questions beyond what was given to us. If the town official wants to coordinate a message or coordinate a response with the PIO office, we'll be available to do that. We'll also be available during the interview process if that's what you'd like as well. And that goes not just for town council, but any town official, department head, or anything like that. We'll review all that stuff accordingly. Third prong is a proper communication with the public. And this is probably almost the most important thing, I would say. I expect us to have a town hall meeting every 90 days. In the town hall meeting, we'll include what the town manages and what it doesn't manage, differences between town and county government. We'll review our procurement procedures. I don't think that anybody's aware of the fact that the town's procurement procedures are far more restrictive than Warren counties in the states. We have a different policy that we follow, and we follow it very, very clearly. You know, BJ and Alyssa, we just don't deviate from that, and that's an important thing to point out. We'll include town council and department heads in that. We'll set some ground rules. We'll encourage interaction. Any question will be available. Any question anybody wants to ask, we'd love to hear it. Again, it's not like a town council meeting here where the public speaks and we don't necessarily respond. Sometimes we do, but in this, I expect there to be responses from everybody involved in the town's behalf. And then we'll set some ground rules to make sure there's no personal attacks or that type of thing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Would we be able to open that up to texting questions in to the town
We
hall?
can, yes. We can use that technology to do
Excuse me.
Sorry, you go ahead.
There's one thing, I want to have a town hall meeting every month
that. Okay.
after I get seated, and it won't start till probably after the first of the year. And probably be more than likely on a Thursday evening, I'm not sure the date yet.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that at a later date.
Yeah, I think the important point too is to not just have a town meeting where people come in and share their concerns, but we also kind of describe what we do. So, you know, so for instance, last week we had some people concerned about whether we were setting up public notices, you know, whether we were announcing it to the public and stuff, whether it was advertising. Well, we do all that. The public just doesn't know that. We need to educate them. We need to let them know what the difference is between the town and the county and how we do things differently. And so I expect us to do that in those meetings as well. The fourth prong is just review. I'd like to review with each of you and with the town manager every 90 days. How are we doing? What's working? What's not working? Where do we need to adjust? What message are we not getting clear? What message are we overemphasizing? What are we underemphasizing, so that we can continue to refine the message each and every time. If a particular issue comes up, we need to address it. I expect to work with each of you as much as you'd like to work with me in helping you and communicating with the public as well. Some other things that, and then I would suggest after 1 year we'll have reviews every 6 months, but again, that's wide open however things proceed. Some other items that come up with the PIO office, there's coordination with law enforcement and mass casualty drills and such and things like that. So I would coordinate with the chief's office and his PIO at the police department to make sure that the town is aware of how to do that, so that you as council members know how to handle those types of things, just to prepare you all better for those types of mass casualty events, to make sure the information gets out to the public accordingly. You know, the police department does a great job of that. If we add the town government side of it into it, it just enhances everything that much better. And then special events coordination. So if there's a ribbon cutting somewhere or something going on of that nature, if you want the PIO office to join you with that, we'll coordinate that through Jennifer and I, and get you guys out there to do that type of thing, give you some feedback as to what's going on specifically, so you're not walking into it blind, and at the same time get feedback back from you when you're done to, oh, I heard this or saw this, so that we can, you know, adjust our message accordingly. So
That sounds excellent.
Would you help? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That happened.
I do the same thing. So you're speaking of like an office, like a team per se, so not just a one-man operation trying to do all
yeah,
these
it
things.
would be, so there's a team involved as far as the social media stuff goes, and coordination and things like that with so I wouldn't issue all the press releases or public
Right.
notices. Those would come to my office. I'd kind of be a clearinghouse for them, adjust this, you know, clarify this in your message, and send them back out, and those people will do those accordingly.
Yeah, Yeah, I only asked because I had another person interested. Matt talked to him as well. And then if you could get with Doug to discuss Polko, which is a new thing they offered up to governments. It's like a social media, but with less argument, because you can only go in and put your comment on your particular yes or no of the issue. You can also whittle it down by zip code, exactly where they are, whether they're in town or county, so then you're not getting outside people doing your polls or commenting on issues that aren't relevant to them.
So,
Doug has the contract, which is why I said to get with Doug, because I went through VML because they were offering it up to so many towns, and we were picked to get to run it for free the rest of the year. But then we had the EDA stuff, and Doug didn't have time to look at the contract. We are talking about, I think there was an expense of like maybe $3,000,
okay.
so minimal.
The town's website also offers some things like that as well that we don't leverage right now, that we might be able to leverage also. That we
We
already
can look at that.
Yeah, this sounds awesome. Thank you.
Would you help manage the message for the mayor, like for an event or ribbon cutting or something like that, to help script out something
Yeah,
that stays on point?
absolutely.
I'm not saying the mayor needs it. I'm just saying that would be helpful tools.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jake.
Helpful tools that are in your
In the
toolbox.
future.
I'm just saying, yeah, in the future.
Again, it's up to you all how much
all of us.
involvement you
Yeah.
want with me in that. Some of you maybe feel
Something.
comfortable with that. Some of you may need
Yes.
some more support in that. We'll
That is a great
jump in
idea.
wherever.
Yeah.
Well,
You
thank
did
you.
an
We're-
excellent job with
thanks-
the church website.
Thanks, Tom. That was really a great brief.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just so I could lay out what my vision is and how we want to, crawl, walk, run with this. We're still trying to develop the systems and the processes by which to implement a public information office. And Todd's going to spearhead it. I'd like for Todd to spearhead it. Develop this as we go. It's going to take several months of getting it up and running. And my idea is not necessarily to make it a permanent position in our budget, because I want to make sure the new town manager comes in and then he gets his opportunity to flush it out and determine whether we want to make it a position or maybe want to outsource it. And that's still an option as well. But, does that sound good?
Yeah,
Moving forward.
sounds good.
Excellent. Thank you.